Which class is this?
Chemistry.
Chemistry 1. Where's everybody? No. Hello. For those of you that don't know me, and those of you that know. A couple of people told me that they didn't know that they're in this class this morning, 6 o'clock. They sent emails. I'm like, okay. Somebody put them yesterday, apparently, but jeez, that's interesting. We need to have here. Yeah, there should be 15, 16 people actually on this. All right. Did you start the classes to order? You just started on Monday. This is Wednesday, so. All right. Let's take attendance and see what's happening here. Frank Aldrich. Frank. Oh. Deja. Urquez. Jenny Crew. Jenny. That's really interesting. Jemaya for Brighton Hopkins. Jake Lewis. Jonah. Megan. Carson. D. Thomas. Felicia Thomason. Thomason. Felicia. Oh. Eugene. What? Jacob. Samantha. Nice. We'll give us more class. That's nice. I don't know where these kids are, but I hope they find their way. I went to check over there to see if somebody is there because the class used to be in 301. And yeah, people probably thought it's there, but it's a smaller class and there's biology time at the moment there. All right. Frank, you went to 301. I checked just a minute ago if anybody is there. I didn't see you. Are there more people waiting there?
Oh, no.
Okay. All right. It's okay. All right. I'll give you syllabus. We can talk about syllabus and then see what's happening with. You're welcome. The only good thing about the new building is that Putin's allies cannot push you out of the window. Just keep pushing it up. There's no windows there, so can't do that. All right. Let's go over the rules here and say, because there's something that bothers me here with the setup of the homework. Office hours, you know where my office is. It's actually taking down the stairs. Just keep going straight. There's a little hall on the left, there is a copy machine on the right, there's a secretary. Keep going down. And then there are two doors. The doors on the left is supposedly faculty bathroom. and then the door next to the bedroom door, it's my office. It's a really old building. Actually, a guy yesterday came. The guy is 70 something. He just came to visit to see what's happening. He graduated here. Anybody was here yesterday? Were you here when he came and visited? And he was so amazed. Apparently, things haven't changed much since, I don't know, probably 50, 60 years ago, even more. So, supposedly we have a new building here. That's in the plans. I don't know if I will be alive to see this, but that's the next building that Franklin University is getting. So we'll see how that will work. We'll see. But that's where my office is. Office hours, I put them on Monday after, so after this class, literally 15 minutes after that, I have another class in Rowan. And it's an upper division class, and I usually need to just check what I'm going to talk there because it's quantum chemistry and all these things. So that means that when we finish here, we'll finish it. I won't really have much time for questions after the classes, and that's the problem. But you can always come to my office anytime, and lab before lab or whatever. I'm there. Officially, the 2 hours that I have to put officially that I'll be stuck in there for sure will be from 1 to 3. The rest of the time, that's on Monday. I'll be still around, but I could be here in this lab, I might be in the other lab over there, I might be somewhere around building, but if I'm here, you ask Miss Debbie and you'll find me. It's not a big deal. Okay, textbook. If you use older textbook, I don't think that they're that much different. Oh, they're different in price. Okay, one is $20, the other one is $200. So that's the textbook. But the problem with the textbook is not so much whether you're going to use which hard copy to use. Because once you get the homework, the homework has, it's Cengage. I will recommend you to take Cengage Unlimited, to buy Cengage Unlimited. In fact, the entire the business school here, the School of Business, they use Cengage for pretty much all their classes. And if you buy Cengage Unlimited once, you can use it the whole semester for all the classes. You don't have to buy individual books, which is pretty cool because for $100 you have access to several books. Now, if you don't have other Cengage classes, then it's a problem. But we're trying to go in this direction so to save you money. If you buy Cengage, you can buy it for 2 semesters. Because both Chem 1 and Chem 2 we use the homework. Yeah, that homework that is through it's OE2. And it's probably best to get it for 2 semesters. If you're going to stay here another semester, if you're going to move somewhere else for whatever reason, maybe it's best to just stick with one. I don't know, it's your decision. There are multiple products that are available at the bookstore. Why the bookstore has all this? Because that way you can claim your financial aid. If you buy through the bookstore, you can claim financial aid. If you buy it online, it's a little bit more tricky. I keep getting emails. It's a little bit more tricky about that. So, but some people don't care about the financial aid, and the easiest thing becomes buying it online. And I'll show you how to get to the online thing. Calculator. We used to not allow programmable calculators, but I'm at the point that, hey, if you're that good to know how to program a calculator, probably you're good enough for using it. So I don't have problems whether it's graphic, non-graphic, or whatever calculator, but it needs to be at the very least scientific calculator for $15 because it has functions like logarithms and sine squares and all these things that you can you'll have to use at some point. Especially in Chem 2, you'll be using more of this. And it's good to have it. And I'm sure you had one of these Texas calculators already from your math class. Everybody here has calculus, not calculus. We have pre-calculus. Or college algebra. You have to have at least college algebra to be in this class the very minimum. If you don't have it, my chair will kick you out of the class. And I don't think that these people like this that are missing here, but it is what it is. Okay. What we're going to study in this class, well, electronic structure will be at some point. but we'll go at the very fundamentals of chemistry. And a lot of students have taken Chem 1 more or less in high school. So if you have taken Chem 1 in high school, or chemistry, this is what you took most likely. And people say, oh, I got this from high school, I knew it. Okay? And even last semester, every semester is like that. Students that took this in high school, they have some confidence, which is good, and then they advance, but they don't study so much because they say, I got it, but we actually move further than high school. So in a few weeks, we'll be already way further than high school, and then you guys will be behind. So stay with the class. Even if you took it, it's great if you took it in high school, that will be plus and it will help you a lot. But stay on top of things, because students that were doing so great in the beginning of the semester, towards the end, they were not doing that well. Every year is like this. And vice versa, students that are not doing very well in the beginning of the semester, they study and they get better and better as we continue. So, something that will be really important here. I'll speak more about the content, but you have to, don't miss the quizzes. Okay, there are quizzes almost every other time. And sometimes I'll have to skip a quiz for whatever reason, and then I'll give it the next time, and then everything shifts. So the schedule that you'll see with the quizzes is tentative. Be in class, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Try to be in class, because quizzes can damage your grade quite significantly. Do the homework. The homework, some people already did the homework before, and you know what it is. There are deadlines there, so stay with the deadlines. If you don't do the homework, for whatever reason, and the problem is, once you buy the homework, you buy the book. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You have to get it anyway. And once you do the homework, you've done it, right? It helps you to study, and the homework is directly from the same publisher, the same book, so it's tailored to the textbook that you guys are using. Stay on top of things. Don't just say, oh, I missed it, can you reopen it? The way that I set up the homework now, and that's what I would like you to let me know by next time or whatever, if somebody goes through this setup, you have to let me know if it works. Because every semester something is different, and they change something, and I had a hard time setting up the class, and I called them, and the person that was on the other side said, oh, the technical person is busy. They never answered. I fixed the problem myself, but I'm not sure how fixed it is. And you have to actually let me know if this will work. When you do the homework, there are deadlines there, right? There will be deadlines for chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. And if you have to do everything that's in there, well, that's too much. What I really want you to do, what's graded, is it's going to be your mastery. So there are 4 sections. One is end of chapter, EOC, end of chapter, which is all the questions in the end of chapter. You can go and work on them, and when you work on the question, if you don't know the answer or if you make a mistake, it gives you a hint. It gives you another hint, it gives you a hint. Now, if you do the mastery and it gives you hints like this, it will reduce your grade. Every time it gives you a hint, it takes some fraction of a point or something, but it takes some percentage down. Sometimes it's not such a bad thing, because if you make the mistake when you do things, maybe it will take more points off. Okay? So be careful, take your time. There's no time limit on these things. And different chapters actually have different lengths of questions. So some of them, in some cases you can complete everything in an hour. In some cases you need to do 7 hours, which means you have to work on these things quite a bit. So we'll go back to the homework and I'll explain more about this. But the course, again, fundamental understanding of electronic structure. We'll do some thermodynamics, a little bit of kinetics, and in the end it will be some geometry and optimization, but some theoretical methods, very, very simple, like valence bond theory and so on. Quizzes, I talked about the quizzes. Usually I drop 2 quizzes. There are 12 quizzes. If you do all the 12, I'll count 10. Okay? If you do 11 quizzes, I'll still count 10. I'll just remove one of them. What usually happens, to be honest, I don't necessarily completely remove that grade. So don't count, oh, it's a 0. That will be, yeah, the 0 simply won't count because I'll sum up all the 12 quizzes and divide by 10. So if you had a point different than 0, it's better than having the 0 because the 0 doesn't help you. You see what I mean? If you have 1 out of 5 in there, still will help your grade. But make sure that you come and take the quizzes. So exams, if you look at the schedule at the end, we'll have 3 exams plus final, and I will speak about the grading in the end. You have only 1 makeup test. 1. Okay, you need to university approve absence, and you need 1 makeup test. The other option is, usually when I do the makeup, I just give you that particular exam, but not exactly the same exam. Right? I'll give you the first exam, different version of first exam, or second or third in different version. We have 1 makeup. Another way to do this is to do a comprehensive makeup, which is pretty much taking the final twice. You don't want to do that. Okay, you have 1 makeup. Why is this? Because usually if you have more than 1 makeup that you need, that means that you probably have some medical problems, and things happen. Things happen, and in that case, usually it's better to do medical withdrawal. And when you do that, there are no penalties. And I had to enforce that policy because I had cases when students will just pretty much every exam find a way to get sick or have an excuse, and that's simply not work. Okay, so let's go back to the Cengage and the OV2. OV2. Okay, there is a link here. I think that if you, maybe I should pause this. Let me pause the syllabus online on the Georgia Bureau, so then you can go ahead and click the link. Maybe that will be easier than typing it in. Yeah, I should have done that. Okay. When you go there, make sure that you do your research, what you want to do with the Cengage. Usually they give you, used to be like 2 weeks. Now it's like less than 2 weeks, free trial. So if you're not sure if you're going to stay in the class or something, I would recommend not to buy everything right now. Do a free trial. And don't forget that it's free trial because you have to go and buy it later on, because otherwise it will kick you out of the system. Usually it keeps you in, it keeps you a record for a few days of what you've done. But then there is a step that you have to come and tell me, oh, I want everything back. And then I have to go and tell me, oh, my student wants everything back. And now think about, these are, I don't know, thousands of universities that are doing this. And they have to go and do this for 1 person, right? And then another person. And then there is a possibility for them to make a mistake. And it will be out of my control. And then I'll have to give you 0 for what you already done. So, do it, figure out what is the deadline, and maybe do it for a few days. Figure out what you want to do, which option you're going to purchase. If you're going to do Chem 1 and Chem 2, if you need just Chem 1, then there's no point to do that. And if you already have Cengage Unlimited for other classes, you don't have to purchase anything, you're already there. You should be able to get in there. Follow the instructions and figure out here the payment options. There are different options, as I said, and the prices that I'm giving you here, 105 and whatever, these are prices from a year ago. I don't know what they are right now. They change every semester. And even last semester they didn't give me updated prices, they say it varies. So it was up, then it went down, so I'm just giving you, these prices are not prices, these are about what it's supposed to be. Okay, attendance. You have recitation. Recitation session. Jeez. Hey. Came 1. Yeah. No, because I'm missing a lot of students. They thought that we were in 301 or something.
Oh, no, I haven't seen anyone come in 301, it's empty.
Oh, okay, well, there we go. No more students. This is very unusual. I already half of the class missing on the first day of class. But people know that class is still today, right? Good thing. Yeah. Okay, well, let's close this. Your side, I can see that there's a person. Just say, if you see somebody, say hello and come over. All right. How we do? Be careful how we do it. Select all this. On Fridays, you have to go and do. Usually, I cover some material, and then we have a TA that goes with you and helps you to study. And it's a just different approach of just trying to emphasize enforcing the material. That's how it used to be when I was a student many years ago. That's a lot of years. But when I was a student, we had to go to this recitation session. It used to be called a seminar. Now seminar means something else. And we work problems. That's what you're doing. You're working on problems. Go with your questions as the TA, and she will help you. She's really good. Actually, I'm having class with her after this one. And it's required. You cannot miss more than 3 times. She will submit attendance to me. Then I have to take points off your overall grade for this class if you don't attend this practice session. It helps you. If you go to this session, it will help your grade. And some people are like, oh, I don't need to know, I don't learn anything else. Even if you're that good that you're an A student, that you know everything, it's still good for the class, it's good for the class dynamics that you're there. Because you'll be offering another option or another view on the problem. And by teaching other people, you actually teach yourself as well. That's one of the best ways to actually study. You study in groups, you explain something to somebody else, and then you end up knowing it actually better. I'm not telling you that you have to go and work for free. I'm telling you that you have to go there and work because there is a penalty, even if you're that great and you don't need this course. And this thing with the penalty, I didn't come up with this. It was the department. So you have to enforce it. I'm scaring you, right? No? Jeez, I didn't scare you. Look at this. I'm scared. Don't worry. I'm joking. All right, good. That's good. Just attend it, please. Grading exams are 15% each. And then you have final exam, that's 20. What I do sometimes it's not in the syllabus, right? But sometimes I will drop an exam. Yeah, you have to take the final. You cannot go without the final. But the final is a combination of the previous exams. That's the easiest exam to take for us. Of course, there are a few, probably 1/10 of the final it's new questions, because the last chapter, when I cover the last chapter, it's after the 3rd exam. But usually the final is a combination of the previous exam plus the last chapter. And I would strongly recommend you to actually take all the exams and don't just say, oh, I'm going to just bump it. They may come, the administration may come and say, you have to enforce your syllabus this semester. I have to enforce what's in there, which means 4 exams. Not dropping anything. So, no extra credit and percentages here, they're obvious. We don't have, A plus, B plus, minus, and all this. So be careful with your grade is, what it is. Excuse absences, according to the university policy. Student disability need to be reported within 2 weeks of you knowing the disability, that there is disability. Because they say, oh, within the first 2 weeks of the semester, but the disability can happen later on. And then what? Student cannot claim it? Yes, you can claim it. You can claim disability at any time during the semester. But the problem is that we'll start doing quizzes and homework and stuff. And if you need it now, you'd be better let me know right away, because you'll see you'll be on on track with all the exams and everything pretty soon. Mental services, this is a new thing from last semester. Actually, I'm not sure how good is our counseling services and all that. And I'm not saying that you should not go there, but if you have any issues, there are phones, and the phone number is to now issues. When I say issues, people think, oh, I'm not crazy. Nobody goes, you're crazy. It's not about this. There is exam anxiety. There is all sorts of other anxieties, and believe me, I've been there and know what it is. And it's not something that sometimes you want to deal by yourself. I'll recommend to just call at least. And if they say, oh, you're cool, just go and straighten up your things, then fine. But it's supposed to help. It's not something that you don't think, oh, people will think or somebody will think that I'm crazy. Nobody thinks this. We're just trying to reduce the stress. And there's a lot of stress when you're a student. Well, for some students it's not stressful, but I was stressed when I was in I know that for sure. There's so many of this legal stuff. Anybody wants to go in law school here? Anyway, we could have read all this for us because it's a resource center, academic resource center. Why do you need to know about this? Because supposedly, actually what we do it's right here in this building. You go on the second floor, here, just take the Chick-fil-A entrance, go second floor right there. That's where the tutors, third floor. That's where the tutors are going to be. And you can see her actually on Friday when you come to the session. I think it will be here. Should be here. And she can tell you more about it. If you need one-on-one tutoring or something, you can go to these offices and speak with them. Writing center is important to visit it at least once if you haven't done any scientific writing. And even if you have done some writing, maybe it's still some improvement. So it's good to go through at least one session with the writing center and say, hey, Dr. Leo sent me here to learn how to write lab reports. And you're going to write just 4 lab reports. It's not that we'll speak about this during the lab. But that's about the writing center. Otherwise, there will not know much writing here. The problems. Integrity is about plagiarism prevention and all this. Again, all this writing that you're going to do needs to be submitted online and it automatically goes through plagiarism detection technology. Sometimes what people do, they found ways to cheat the system because sometimes there are certain tricks that you can do so and don't tell what it is, but don't do that because when they see this, that will be automatically 0. So, classroom protocols, you have to be on time, cell phones, once it goes on, because I'm sure it will go, just turn it down please. And we don't have much discussions, but you will have discussions on Fridays. And I really want you to be respectful to the TA, because she's about your age, she's your age. And then people, oh, we're equal. No, you're not equal. If the person is in front here, they are the ones that are responsible for it. Okay? Any of you come here in my spot and start teaching or doing something, then you'll be responsible for these people right here. So you have to be respectful to that TA. So be courteous and courtesy and attention is expected in this situation. Hands up here with the Title 9. Anybody knows what Title 9 is? Do you know what Title 9 is about? Yeah? No. Well, Title 9 was actually done in the first version was in the 60s, and then they improved things in the 70s, but apparently the university system is trying to emphasize on this because there were issues and it's maybe it's being overemphasized for some people, maybe it's not, but it is a law. The same way that the Bill 280 is a law. So if we have to live in that state, so we have to obey the law. Nobody's above the law. So be careful about all this. Read through it. I'm not going to give you more instructions here, but if you need to understand something, they are here websites, and there are people that are responsible for clarifying this to you guys. Title IX means that, to some extent, what I have to do. If I see or hear something, I have to report it related to usually sexual harassment, but there are many other little points in here. And when that happens, I have to report it even if it's not exactly what it is, but if it looks like that, and then there is a chain of events that are going to happen after that. And that's the reality. So you have to be careful, both guys and girls, either way, you have to be, how can I say, aware of this and know what can happen. And it's not like anybody's going to put you in jail or anything like this. It just, we're going to the right services there, and all here on campus, and they solve the problem for us. That's how it is. Or whatever. They may not be able to solve, but usually it's not, how can I say, it's not so obvious what to do and how to do it in these situations, and I'm not trained to deal with this, and I'm not supposed to, I have to report it. So be careful how you behave with each other. So be mindful about that. COVID. You know what? I'm tired of COVID, but if they any day they can come and enforce this back on us, so who knows. Last day of class is May 3rd, final exam is on May 9th. And practice problems, when I suggest the practice problems in the end of the chapters, you probably will have a hard copy, or you will have the electronic copy online. In Alvito, that section, there are 4 sections. There are kind of some animations, some graphics, some end of chapters, problems, and mastery. Again, you're graded only on mastery. You don't have to do anything else, but you have to do the mastery for sure. If you want to get better before you do the mastery and make sure that your grade is good, you can always find a problem similar to the one that the master is asking. You can stop it at any time. You can do a little bit, stop it, and you can go into the end of chapter, find that problem, solve the problem there, do the, it won't be exactly the same, it will be similar problem. But you can solve that problem with the help of the system, because it will start giving you hints, for example. It's a lot of work, let me tell you, that's a lot of work. Don't waste your time on doing the entire end of chapter things. The only thing you're graded on is mastery. If for some reason I made a mistake last semester on the last chapter, I put all 4 sections as being graded, and people started doing them all. I'm like, no, I never said that. That was a mistake. Why didn't you send me an email? But people didn't do that, and they started working. It's a lot of time. I don't want you to waste that much time. You don't need to waste that much time on this. Any of these sections will help you enough to get through the material and be successful. But mastery supposedly is the best one. My personal opinion, I'm not so happy with the master, but that's me. And there's not much I can do about it, because that's what we accept as a department, that's what we're doing now. Alright. Do we have class on Monday? No. It's Martin Luther King, if you look at the schedule. Then maybe people are going to come next week, who knows? They're probably still out. Then we have the problem is that I have to report attendance on Tuesday, and we don't meet until Wednesday. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do with all these people here, but anyway, that's what it is. Quizzes, usually I stay with this schedule here unless something happens, and then we have to shift something, but I usually stay with this schedule with the quizzes. Exams, the same thing. Usually to change the exam, it's a small class, so sometimes some people, when the class is that small, they influence the rest of the class. Hey, let's go ahead and move the exam. We need at least 2 weeks before the actual exam to make the decision. I cannot, if the exam is tomorrow, we cannot make a decision now to move the exam. No, even if everybody, we can bend some rules and do it, but it's not really the way things go. 2 weeks before the actual exam, we have to make a decision if you're going to move it or not. But best is to stay with the schedule because you have other classes and you pick up your schedule, you figure out what to do there. And that's about it with this. All right. Attendance. So many people are not here. Don't be late for class because that's how you're missing the quizzes. Okay? And that's how your grade suffers. So don't be late. I might be taking my time in the beginning. I usually just slow down a couple minutes, but sometimes everybody's here, people are not patient, and I just do the quizzes. So don't be late because this costs you quite a bit. I mean, at some point, I know that we're pretty cheap in the system, supposedly the cheapest, or maybe, I don't know. Every school around us, they think that they're the cheapest, so I don't know who's the cheapest anymore, but probably it's $2 difference. It will accumulate, this money will accumulate. At some point, you're going to lose hope and all this because you didn't come on time for class, and then that's all. It's some of you will have the potential to excel in this class, I'm pretty sure, really well. And just because you're not consistent, and you don't come when you're supposed to come, and you don't take all the exams and quizzes and homework because of excuses. Everybody has excuses. When it becomes habitual being late, there is nothing I can do about it. When your grades suffers, not because you cannot excel intellectually, but because of not being organized, there's not much I can do about this. In this situation, this mental services, the mental services again, it's not crazy services. Sometimes people just need to learn how to call them and say, hey, I have a hard time, I'm staying too much on my Xbox device, or whatever this mind-numbing tool you have in your room. Okay, speak with them. Sometimes that's all it takes. Because I'm pretty sure when you spend the whole night, I had students, excellent students, that they won't sleep the whole night because they will play with somebody in their part of the world or whatever. And then they will come in their performance in class will be terrible. Why your parents send you to school? Why did you come to school? What's the number one thing? Why did you guys come? What do you think? Anybody? Okay, maybe you just get yourself here because why? We're not party school, right? Supposedly we're not. Yeah, okay. There is some of that too, but it's you should have it, so that's fine. But why? Why did you come to party? Why did you come? To learn, yeah. To learn. That's what. Yeah, and learning doesn't mean that you just show up in the middle of the class and say, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna do well." No, learning is that you have to be here 100%. Okay, let's see if I can. Do you have questions for me? What time we finish at 45, right? 10:45. We have about 35 minutes. Usually, when I take attendance, I ask people to not only about your names, but to introduce yourself a little bit. So let me tell you more about me. So we can get a little bit past the notes, and then you guys don't tell me about you a little bit, and then we can go through the chemistry stuff. All right, so let's see. Got my chemistry degree, my master's is from. See, the problem with this thing, that door, even if you close it, you still hear people downstairs. I have to go and tell them not to behave. And it's going to be like that regardless how many times I tell people to stop talking. It will be, people will be in and out between classes, there's not much I can do about it. So, alright. Chemistry, I originally did my master's in Bulgaria. Oh, bachelor and master's was 5.5 years is the program. And then I started my PhD here at Notre Dame, and my boss, she moved to Penn State, so I graduated from Penn State, then she moved to Urbana-Champaign, and now she's at Yale. So, if you go and stay in academia, that's the path. You need to move to the better and better and better. In fact, they just make you offers. This is for research schools. Small schools like us, that's not quite the situation. So, but you go through research programs. That's how things happen. Then I did my postdoc at Pacific Northwest National Lab. They didn't let me touch the computer for 2 months until they did my clearance. And finally they gave me some clearance, say, okay, go and work. So, but do you know where PNNL is? Where is Pacific Northwest, folks? Do you know where is the Pacific Northwest? Pacific. Washington State, exactly, yeah. The Manhattan Project, part of the Manhattan Project was there at PNNL. That's where they enriched the plutonium. Uranium was enriched here in Tennessee. Actually, I took one of my classes 1 year. We went to Tennessee and we saw the original reactor there. And then we saw the new reactors. When they start the reactor, the electrons move so fast through the water and the water glows green. And that's why they say, oh, you're glowing green. But it's glowing green is because of the electrons moving too fast through the water, and that's what it is. But okay, so that my job there was theory. I graduated in physical chemistry, theoretical chemistry, and that's what I was doing. I was doing theory and ways for remediation. Actually, the gravitational wave that they did. Remember when they discovered gravitational waves a couple of years ago? One of the devices was actually that lab. It was right there. When I was there, they were building it. It was top secret. And like, they're building something. And we were like, okay, that's going to be some sort of accelerator. No, it was just a tunnel where they shoot a laser, and they just measure how that laser moves, because it just the gravitation wave just bends space. It's kind of crazy. But okay, it's pretty cool. That's what I did. Then I started teaching here. And I've been here ever since 2005. Yeah, August 05. And I teach general, analytical, and theoretical chemistry. That's what I'll be doing right after this class. So, any questions? Originally from Bulgaria, as you can see my accent, which is not Russian. Right? They're trying to make us part of it, but we're not. And we're in NATO, and we're part of the European Union, so thank God, because otherwise they're going to shoot us there. So. Any questions? No. All right, you want to tell me something about yourself, quick? You have to remind me your names, though. All right? And everybody else will learn your name. You want to start?
Something about me. Well, my name's Carson. I'm an exercise science major, but it's not going towards what I want to be. I want to be a PA instead of a physical therapist. But been here, it's my second semester. I think I'll be transferring after this.
Okay. Where do you want to go?
I don't know yet. It depends if when the housing market goes down, we plan on moving somewhere. I have to wait till then to graduate.
Yeah, that's an issue. The PAs versus physical therapists, there are too many physical therapists that were created, and yes, a lot of students were lured in that direction, but because too many started doing it now, the market is oversaturated. But, and also they upgraded this to a doctoral degree, so you actually still have to spend, instead of 1 year, 3 years at school, I think something like that for graduate, which makes sense. But I think that PA is probably better.
It's just more money and less school.
Yeah,
Doesn't make sense to be a PT then.
yeah, you're right. I'm with you on that one. I'll also recommend probably to consider the nurse anesthetist if you stay, not nurse anesthetist. What was this other nursing thing that they had? The practitioner, yes, because it's equivalent in Georgia.
That's what my mom was.
It is equivalent in Georgia, and years ago, right? That's on the site. I was dating one of the PAs in town, and she was almost equivalent to the doctor. She knew so much and was doing as much work as a doctor, but the pay was much less. So it's kind of a lot of work for this pay. That she was really mad about that, I remember. But just speak with people and figure it out. Somebody else, thanks. Ladies first, okay, let's go with you. I will go not in order. How about this?
I'm Johanna. Fun fact about me is that I've worked in China. I'll be transferring for environmental science in the fall. I want to be a hydrologist.
Alright, that's amazing. My degree in chemistry is environmental chemistry. That's why I'm teaching environmental science, which I forgot to tell you. But yeah, that's awesome. Great, thank you. Alright. Frank.
My name is Frank. I like to play basketball. And I'm an engineering major.
Alright. That's cool.
My name is Quaid, and I'm an oral chemistry major. And I graduated from Lee County High School, but I'm originally from Brooklyn.
Alright. That's pretty cool. I used to teach at Lee County, but didn't see, I don't know. It didn't take, during the pandemic I was helping them, so for 2 semesters, no, 2 years I was teaching there as well. Ladies, let's go to ladies.
My name is Amari. I'm really like shy, so I don't talk to anybody. But I'm a chemistry major too, so yeah.
It's nice. I love to have chemistry majors in a smaller class, because in the big class you guys kind of smear and that's... Alright, so ladies, boys.
My name is Jake Williams, and I'm pregnant bio major. Eventually, I'd like to major in anesthesiology. Eventually, that's a long ways away, but
That's good. Okay, you guys will need money one day, just, you know, who to ask. He will be the rich one here. Alright, ladies, anybody who wants to go? I'll let you choose. Okay.
My name's Jade. I play on the basketball team here. I'm an exercise science major.
That's cool. I need to know how to exercise. My gym skills are terrible. Right, yeah. All I know is how to gain weight. You have to wait, ladies first.
My name's Samantha, and I plan on transferring after my sophomore year for dentistry. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, I'm a person that will have money, so that's good. So, all right. How about you?
My name is Brighton, and I'm going to transfer after this semester to Georgia Southern and be a philosophy major.
Philosophy major. That's pretty cool. I think that they wanted to start philosophy here. I'm not sure if they're doing, but that used to be my favorite subject in high school. We used to study philosophy in high school. We studied chemistry for 4 years of chemistry. I had 4 years of chemistry, 4 years of physics, of course math and all this, philosophy for a year, psychology for a year. All this was high school. I remember working with Sigmund Freud, so said Zarathustra, and the teacher said, "Come here, give me the book, get back there." This is, and I was, I don't know, maybe 14, I would say. You don't read Sigmund Freud when you're 14, but yeah, that's good. All right, folks, that's cool. I really like that you guys introduce yourself. And when it's a big class, we can't really do that because it's gonna take 2 hours. And but when it's a small class, it's perfect. And don't take me on the money thing. Everybody, you can make money. One of my colleagues, chemistry professor, it was actually in South Carolina. No, North Carolina. One of the Carolinas. The guy was making $450,000 in salary as a chemistry professor, more than the president of the school. So anybody can make it. You know, it's money. Yeah, things usually are correlated, but I wouldn't say necessarily 100%. So if you look at jobs for hydrologists, there are jobs everywhere for hydrologists, and they're so highly paid. That's why we couldn't ever get a hydrologist here on campus. We couldn't get a professor in hydrology, and we couldn't have a degree. We wanted to have environmental science program and have a hydrologist in this, and we couldn't get one because we had to pay twice what we're getting paid. And it's not gonna happen, so. Anyway. Let's see if we can. Okay, I'm moving in. Hey. I'm not in a hurry to teach you chemistry right now, especially if half of the class is not here. I'm not sure why they're not here, but I'm pretty sure they think that we start after Martin Luther King. Usually that's how the semester used to go. We start now this way because we used to have winter intersession, and they removed it, and now it's going to take us 5 years for the calendar to catch up and go to normal. 5 years. So we're moving just a couple of days each semester until we get to normal. So. All right. Is this thing on? It's not all in. Oh, it's up on. Okay, this is the first one. Is it better?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Now, when you go on the homework on ALI, what I would recommend, actually, there's no need to go there. What I would recommend is to, in the beginning, there are a bunch of things until you go to chapter 1, there are all these modules, that is, module this, how you can get organized and all this. Spend your time to look at all that. There is a section though that is math. I would highly recommend you to review the math. Doesn't matter how good you are in math and how good was your grade in math. I would highly recommend you to review the math section. It's not for grade, but it's something that's going to help you as we continue progress with the semester. Spend the time, the homework, the way I close the homework before I start the next chapter. So homework on chapter 1 closes the weekend when I close that chapter. So if the chapter closes, if I finish the chapter, let's say on Wednesday, or sometimes it's on Monday, I still close it over the weekend. I think that's what I did. I'm pretty sure that's what I did. And also, once the homework is completed, you still can go back. I opened it, so you can still go back and review things for the exams and stuff. But that will be it. Before that, I used to just completely open, and people would say, "Oh, he's going to open, so I can just slap it now." No, I'm not going to slap it. I'm not going to let you do that. You have to stay on track. So, deadline. If you didn't do it by the deadline, your grade is going to suffer. But after the deadline, you still will be able to go back and look at the math sections, because it's going to help you for the very first chapter, and it's going to help you for the rest of it. Okay, we're going to go through what is chemistry, some few explanations. In the first law, hopefully, will be the law of conservation of mass, and I don't think that I'll be able to get beyond anything less, or anything more than that. I'll skip all this because I'm not going to do it. So chemistry. What is chemistry? What do you know about chemistry? What is chemistry? You took how many people took chemistry in high school? All right. Jeez, that's going to be a really strong class. I like that. composition and structure, and that's what people don't realize. People think, oh, chemistry is about medicine and things blowing up. No, these are applications of chemistry, but the chemistry itself is a study about the composition and structure of materials, how the changes that they can undergo under whatever chemical reaction and so on. And that's what chemistry is. I would highly recommend you to take notes, because when you take notes, when you write, your brain works twice. Your brain goes on a different mode when you actually do the recording by hand. It just works different. And even though it looks like you go home and say, oh, I don't remember anything from this because whatever the professor said that didn't work, that won't be the case. You guys will know it. You'll know it better for sure. Just the second you start reviewing it, things will come out. Now, here's a little bit philosophical, these definitions, okay? So, and when you go to the philosophical questions, then it becomes kind of iffy. Oh, is that correct or is that correct? Especially when you go through the actual quizzes. So, experiment, observation of the natural phenomenon, observation. And usually you do that in a controlled manner that you can reproduce. This is what I will ask you to do during lab. Your lab, whatever you do and whatever you write about it, must be reproducible. I should be able to pick up somebody from the street and give them what you did, what you wrote there, and they should be able to reproduce it. If it's not reproducible, then you didn't really do an experiment, you're just playing something. So, once you do this, you should be able to draw conclusions from this. And these conclusions usually will go through the methodology of all this, may result into hypothesis may go to a theory and so on. But you need to have results always. You need to have the objectives on what you're going to do. You're going to do it in a controlled manner, and then you control it's reproducible, right? Don't just stay on your left toe and try to do that, and the next time say, oh, if you're doing it on the right toe, it actually is going to work. You see, it makes no sense either way. It needs to be done properly. Okay, you should be able to draw the rational conclusions, and a law, it's actually a statement. And when I say statement, it doesn't necessarily need to be written in words, it could be written in a mathematical equation. So, either way. And this statement will be about some relationship, maybe the experiment that you did about the phenomena or something, and then, excuse me, this statement becomes a law, right? Once it is confirmed by your experiments. So, statement or mathematical equation about fundamental relationship or regularity in nature. I have 15 minutes of lecture, that's pretty cool. So what is a hypothesis? So philosophers here. What is it? Yeah, well, it's tentative. It's not just explanation. Explanation could be one, but it's tentative. Something that you may say, okay, the wind will blow in that and that direction today, right? Well, that's tentative, but I'm kind of hypothesizing that might be the case, but it's not required to be the case. So, tentative explanation of some regularity of nature. Theory on the other side. Something that you already tested. You did the experiment, you tested, you confirm it, that this phenomenon works that way, right? And sometimes you put few laws in this theory to make that, but it's the laws altogether might be the ones that will be explained the theory. So theory is more like a combination of few of those. It's not, sometimes people get confused between a law and a theory. Well, theory is explanation that sometimes may need to go to few laws in order to go to complete explanation to this phenomenon. And this is probably something that you guys did in every class. And We do it in every science class, that's how it starts with us. So, you do experiment, you get a result, and you go to hypothesis. And then you say, let's see if that hypothesis may lead to another experiment. And then you keep going until the hypothesis starts repeating itself and becomes a theory, right? You just keep circling, because every time you get new results, you might end up with some other hypothesis. Or maybe not. Maybe if things are confirmed, you'll go back and say, hey, maybe we should make a law to this. And from these laws, you can actually end up with a theory. Okay. Now, matter, these are some of the definitions in the class are kind of old and traditional, the traditional way we teach chemistry, and we'll stay with them as much as possible. But matter, it's not just this, it's not what they say, everything that occupies space. Dark matter, I cannot perceive dark matter with my senses, but it is there. So dark matter is the one that occupies most of the space, but it's not something that I can perceive with my senses. So the way we define matter in classical chemistry will be what you can see, what you can. So air, it's matter because it occupies that space. Right? My coffee cup, it's full of coffee, and that's the matter there, right? Something that I can see, I can perceive with my senses. Now there are two other things that I want to distinguish. A mass. So usually when I say mass, people think, oh, that's my weight. Actually, there is a difference between weight and mass. Mass measures how much matter an object has, right? So the matter that's inside an object will be the mass. And the easiest thing to make analogy with this is weight, but weight, it's actually mass times acceleration due to gravity. Because when I step on the balance, right, on the scale in the morning, and you say, oh, geez, I got a few more ounces last night. My body is being attracted by the gravitational field of the Earth. And depending how strongly it pulls me down, this scale will measure differently. If I go on the moon and try to step on that scale, I'll be really light there, right? There's not that much gravity to pull me down. So what do I mean? So weight is this. Mass, mass is what this object is. Weight will be equal to mass times acceleration due to gravity. This is what you put on the scale. You put your weight. Weight is a force. Mass times acceleration is a force. Newton's law, if you did take some physics, you know that force equals mass times acceleration. And I write it like this because it's really a vector, but here is the acceleration is due to gravity. The acceleration due to gravity, and that gives me the W. W is my weight. So weight is measure how strongly gravity pulls that matter. And mass is a measure of how much matter is in an object. We'll go through the SI units next time, and we'll speak more about mass. So let's speak about law of conservation of mass. During chemical reactions, total mass will remain constant. Now let's think of it that way. Think about pairs, dancing pairs. So it's you and your dancing partner, right? You have a weight, your dancing partner has weight. When you guys start dancing as a pair, your weight doesn't change, right? Your weight is one, her weight is another one. You get together, the combination of both weights separate, it's equal to the total weight, right? Well, that's the idea here with chemical reaction. The total mass will remain constant during chemical reaction. Now, if we do nuclear reactions, things are different. Because mass goes into energy, or energy may go into mass. It's a different situation there. But we're not talking about this until the end of the semester. That's what the law of conservation of mass. Chemical reaction will proceed with unchanged total mass. Aluminum powder. Aluminum powder actually it's used in explosives, right? Any pyromaniacs here? No? Nobody? I usually used to have always one person that knows at least how to make this something. I'm not going to teach you that. Good. I had a student, he graduated with an engineering degree from Georgia Tech after he was here, and oh my god, this guy knew more about explosives than me. I've been in the military, I've been chemistry and chemical, biological and nuclear. That was my unit. And this guy knew how to make more of these things by himself, just learning from it, and I'm like, maybe he's going to get you one day if you keep doing it. I think you were just blowing things in his backyard or something, but anyhow, aluminum powder, when things burning is a process of oxidation. We'll speak about oxidation more or less, but usually we need oxygen, and when you say you need oxygen to oxidize, no, to oxidize things you don't necessarily need oxygen. But that's a terminology, we call it oxidation. So it burns in oxygen to produce this aluminum oxide. I'm not going to write formulas now, but I here have powder, aluminum metal. You know what's aluminum, right? You can take a can of aluminum and just shred it and make a powder out of it. And actually aluminum paints, that's how we used to make explosives when we were kids. We would take a paint, we would dry it out, take that aluminum and mix it with something else, which I'm not going to tell you. And these are our usually mirrors here if fun, just go and blowing on stuff, which was pretty stupid because always somebody was ending up in the hospital from all this thing too close to this. So be careful when you see aluminum powder, okay? So we have sample of 2 grams of aluminum and it's burned in oxygen to produce 3.78 grams of aluminum oxide. Okay, so now what they tell me, you have your mass and you have the mass of you and your dancing partner. Can you tell me what's the weight of your dancing partner? So here you're the aluminum, your dancing partner is the oxygen. What's the weight of the oxygen? Can you do that? How can you do that?
You subtract your weight from the total.
Yeah. Are you guys all okay with me on this? So I have aluminum, I have oxygen, and I make aluminum. I just call it X, doesn't really matter. This should be 2 here, but doesn't matter. So I have the mass of aluminum, 2.00 grams, and I have, I'll just call it Y or something. Here is M of O2, right? That's unknown. That will be equal to the total aluminum oxide that you produce is 3.78 grams. Or 3.78 minus 2 will be 1.78 will be the mass, right? It's linear equation 1 unknown. Constant plus x equal to another constant. You know how to do this, right? Just that goes on the other side of the equation with opposite sign. 3.78 minus 2.00. That will give you 1.78 grams. Kind of boring, but here it is. Review the math, because some people will my kid, my 12-year-old, who's thinking that's so smart, okay, because he's using these mind numbing devices all the time. But sometimes he'll have like, oh, do you know how much is 5 times 5? Yeah, okay. But then if you ask him the question, tell me the square root of 25, he wouldn't be able to tell me that. And these are things that if you practice math, just your brain should be doing it like this. And now is the time to put it in your head. If you have nothing better to do other than reading philosophy things, do math. Actually, math develops your brain. That's what you want to do. That's why you're taking these analytical classes. And that's why medical school requires analytical classes like this, so you make the connections. You say, I probably will never need to do chemistry later on. Maybe you won't. But these neurons that are firing in that fashion, when you solve problems like this, which is pretty simple, right? We'll get more complicated. These neurons will be helping you later on in your graduate studies. So it's important to practice math, regardless how boring it looks to you. But actually, it's fun. I have a friend that the guy once he divorced, he was saying, "Oh, I'm telling my ex-wife that I'm with my girlfriend, and I'm telling the girlfriend that I have to take care of something with my ex-wife. I'm just hiding and solving problems." He was joking about this, but that's what he was really doing, because he was really enjoying to solve my math problems. So, states of matter. These are the ones that we have. Solid, liquid, gas. That's what the book will tell. And we'll go through the characteristics of this. Characterized with rigidity, fixed volume, and all this. Yes, solid things are fixed volume. Liquids, they are not fixed volume. They will usually take the volume of wherever you put it, the shape of the cup and so on. Gas can be compressed. You can just compress air, go all the point to the point of making liquid air, right? You can take a gas and you can liquefy it. So that means you can compress it, it's compressible. Liquid, not so compressible, rigid, not compressible at all. Of course, there are other things that we can see here, but rigidity, shape, and compressibility are the main points that we use to distinguish between these, solid, liquid, and gas. Alright, so, solid, looks like this. Very organized. Liquid, not so organized, but very compressed. And then we have gas. There is a big space in between this. That's why you can compress the gas. You can take this and squeeze it all the way to the point of getting usually first liquid. And if you can keep squeezing, you might end up to some solid situation. So physical change, let's do changes because you need to do these things in more ways. Physical change. Physical change usually happens without changing the chemical identity. Ice is frozen water, but the process of freezing the water, it's chemical change. The process of melting the water, the ice to water, it's a physical change. What about if I evaporate water? Is it chemical or physical change? Physical. It's still physical, because it's still water. You don't break the water into hydrogen and oxygen. You know what H2O is, right? So, chemical change usually means that you have chemical reaction. How you change the composition? So, in rusting or burning or oxidizing, burning it's oxidizing, rusting it's oxidizing as well. Rust means that iron will become iron oxide. When you have some sort of other oxidation, for example, the copper, you know how copper gets this funky color, actually here's the copper. Well, that's again oxygen reacts with it. So when you burn something, again, it's oxidation, oxygen is being added to this, and you break the composition. This is a chemical reaction. Chemical reaction will mean that you have chemical change. So physical property. Physical property, these are characteristics of the material that can be observed without changing the chemical identity. Boiling point. I can start boiling something. Well, yeah, I'm not changing the water into something else. That's physical property. The color of something, the electrical conductivity, for example, of something, the physical state, these are all physical properties. I just observe this without changing the chemical identity. Chemical property, however, is something that will involve chemical reaction. It will involve chemical change. So, ability to react with oxygen being oxidized, ability to burn, right? Ability to react. Fluorine is another example here. Fluorine is acting just like as the oxygen is oxidant. What the bleach is doing? Bleach is oxidant, but it's the chlorine in that case. Actually, it's a hypochlorite, but anyway, it's the chlorine that acts as an oxidizing agent. And here is substance. Oops, let's do substance. And we'll stop right here. Substance it's the matter that you cannot separate it into any other kinds of matters by doing a physical process. Right? If you do chemical thing, then things may change. Like, but you cannot do it by physical process. Distillation. What's a distillation? Distillation is distillery is doing distillation, right? What's in the distillation process? You evaporate the alcohol, and that way, by having different temperature, you separate it to different fractions, and then you're cooling it down back to a liquid, and then you have the pure alcohol. Because you have different temperatures, at one temperature, one alcohol will disappear, and another different. And then in that distillation column, here's where you take the bourbon. Right here on top of this is the methyl alcohol that will poison you. Underneath is antifreeze that will poison you. But right here is the bourbon. At that temperature, you take the bourbon out, or the vodka, or something. That's the distillation. So, by physical change, that will be it. And questions, folks? Thank you for coming to class a week earlier than the rest of the class counts. I appreciate it. I'll see you. We have lab tomorrow with some of you, right? Is it tomorrow? Do you guys have lab? Should be with me, right?
What about Friday?
Friday it's not lab. No, Friday. Check.
It's tomorrow.
There are two labs. I forgot one there, but one is.
There's one on Wednesday. What is that?
There's one on Tuesday and there's one on Thursday. Yes. So tomorrow, one of the sections has only 3 people in it. I'm not sure why that. Anyway, so if you need to switch to another section, you can maybe that's an option. All right. No. Alright, see you next time. Do we have a quiz next time? So we schedule, we have a quiz next time on this. And please let me know if the Audi tool works. Yes, I know. I set it there, but until actually you guys confirm it, I will not believe it.